Hello and welcome to Inside Tennessee Football's practice facility. I'm Ryan Sylvia. This is Noah Taylor. We are with VolReport.com on the Rivals Network, and we got to talk to Josh Heupel and three players today in McCallan Castles, Jacob Warren and Elijah Herring, to kind of recap the Austin Peay game and move forward into a really big week for Tennessee football heading to Gainesville to play Florida. So let's jump right into our takeaways from what we heard today. And I'll start with you. What was your biggest takeaway from what Heupel had to say?
Yeah, about the defense. That's kind of been the headliner the last 2 weeks. It certainly was against Virginia, and it was Saturday as well against Austin Peay. They're going to be going up against kind of a different animal, but they've looked really well in two games and kind of set the tone for Tennessee in two games where the offense was a little bit sluggish. Josh Heupel talked about going to Florida. They're going to be facing a better offensive line, a better group of running backs, probably a better quarterback as well, and Graham Mertz, and just the importance of getting off to a good start there defensively as well. And we talked about on the podcast this morning, that's a really good running back group. Josh Heupel asked a lot about them today, Trevor Etienne and Montrell Johnson, who are kind of the bread and butter of Florida's defense. We know Tennessee was really good at stopping the run last year. They've looked really good at it, and getting to the quarterback as well, which was an emphasis this offseason. That's going to be their biggest challenge on Saturday, and Josh Heupel kind of touched on that this morning, so that was kind of my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, another area of improvement that Tennessee's going to need to see is on the offensive end. A big issue for Tennessee has been their third down conversion rate. They've struggled to convert on these third and manageable attempts. Heupel's asked about, hey, what's the issue there? Is there one thing that needs to be corrected? Is there multiple things? He said it's not just one thing, but a lot of it does come down to just making the play. He says we need to make the throw, we need to make the catch, we need to block well, we just need to execute. So it didn't seem like Heupel was necessarily worried about those third down woes, and it was more so, we know what we can do, we've proven it right here on the practice field, let's go out there, let's execute it, and let's get the job done, more than, this one specific area needs to be cleaned up. So I thought that was interesting as well, and definitely a key thing to look out for on Saturday to see how Tennessee does on those third downs, because that can be, of course, very pivotal in the game. But let's talk about the players. 2 tight ends, 1 linebacker. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball with the tight ends. What was your biggest takeaway?
Yeah, McCallan Castles kind of made the play of the game offensively for Tennessee on Saturday, and we were kind of looking forward to seeing that because he's kind of the guy that you expected to fill in that versatility role that Princeton Fant brought to tight end last year. And had a drop pass early in the game, one that was maybe a little bit behind him, and he talked about coming back from that and then getting that score. Showed off his athleticism to get outside there and score that. But, man, when I asked him about what he saw on that touchdown to kind of walk us through it, he credited Brew McCoy. He said that was more impressive than the play he made and the block he made downfield. So it was interesting to see him kind of get into the offense. We expected him to kind of show his athleticism early. He's done that. It'll be interesting to see what they do with him at Florida Saturday. But they've talked about it all offseason, a guy that can be versatile at that position. And we got to see a little bit of a sample size of that Saturday.
Yeah, week 1, debatably the biggest highlight was John Campbell punishing a linebacker. Week 2, debatably the biggest highlight or the biggest standout play was Castles run down the sideline, but specifically McCoy just burying a defensive back for about 30 yards down the field. So blocking has been at least a highlight for Tennessee so far, and I would say they've done a pretty good job against these lesser opponents. Let's flip it over to the defense side of the ball, though. I want to talk about Elijah Herring. He got the start at middle linebacker in the absence of Keenan Pili. Of course, a sophomore, played here and there in his freshman year, getting his feet wet at the college level. But he said he kind of had his welcome to college football moment on Saturday in his start. Of course, that first drive for Austin Peay, he got laid out twice. One ended up being a blindside block penalty, kind of a debatable call, but twice he was decleated. Kind of had a laugh about it. He understands that it's football. You're playing at full speed. It's going to happen. But said that those 2 hits kind of reset him a little bit. We're like, okay, I need to remember that I'm playing college football right now. But also talked about he thought he did well overall in the game, and I would agree. I think he had a pretty good showing for his first start, listed as the starting Mike linebacker for the Florida week. Should be in that position throughout the year, at least until Keenan Pili returns later on. So he was impressed with himself, but also at the same time was very willing to say that he had issues that he needed to correct, that he sees it on film, he understands the step he needs to take. It's never going to be perfect out there, and he's pleased with how he did, but there's a lot of areas that can be improved, which I think is really important for, a superstar down to a reserve player to understand that there is a next step you can take, and Herring's not oblivious to that. So it should be a good game for him this weekend as he gets his first SEC start, which is a big moment down in the Swamp. We'll be back here tomorrow, though, talking to, I believe we get Brian Jean-Marie and Alec Abelin, the linebacker and tight end coach, and then a handful of players as well. So make sure you come back, check out those interviews, and we will be right back in this spot as we break down what was said. And then we'll be traveling down to the Swamp this weekend to see Tennessee take on Florida. So make sure you head over to VolReport.com for all of our coverage throughout the week and for game day, and subscribe to the YouTube channel right here. Links to everything needed in the description. Thank you for watching.